A video has been circling around the internet, and if you've seen it, you will recognize the matrix on this board beside me. In that video, it claims to have the argument of why we need to enact environmental regulation and taxes, regardless of whether or not global warming is a reality. So we thought it would be a little important to take a further look at this, to look at the matrix with a little more detail and see if that really is the case. This right here where it says GCC, global climate change. In the past we always referred to this as global warming. But over the last few years you will have noticed that global climate change has come in more and more. And why is that? Well, think about it. If it's global climate change, then it doesn't matter if it gets hotter or colder, wetter or drier. The extremists can claim that they were right. Now let's look at the matrix in more detail. The action here of yes or no is yes, we enact taxes and regulation to combat global warming, or no, we do not. And we're told that the least risk is right here. This is the least risk, so this is where we really should be. But let's look at it in more detail. In the first box, if we enact the regulation, the taxes, it's going to cost. It's going to cost us a lot of money. What's a possible result from that? Well, global depression. Now, if this action is going to cause, or has the likelihood of causing global depression, think how disastrous it would be to implement something like that with the current state of our economy that we have today. We've got some smiley faces on here. That's really, this is ugly. We don't want to be there. Global warming is true. It happens. We've put in actions and we've, quote, had global warming and we've managed it, close quote. Then we're happy? Well, let's look at that. If these regulations and taxes will cause global economic destruction, it's going to happen in this box and it's going to happen in this box. The impact on the economy doesn't matter what's happening with the environment. The economy doesn't care. If we're going to get global depression here, we're also going to get it here. So we've got the cost, we've got global depression, and did we manage it? Well, now we're not looking so happy in this box, I don't think, because we've got the same economic problems that we got here, we've got here. So, not so happy anymore. Let's consider it a little bit more. Think about the likelihood that we do this action, this taxes, these regulations, and that it has any impact whatsoever on what happens in the environment. Now consider our economy. Economics is a fairly well understood science. You can go to just about any college in the country and you can go to an economics class and look at the data and learn and understand what kinds of actions stimulate economic growth. Our government has failed miserably to stimulate any growth in our economy whatsoever. And if they can't do that, what kind of rational thought can we ever jump to that would make us think that our government, through taxes and regulation, could have any impact on the global environment? If you look at the likelihood of that happening, along with the problems we're going to cause our economy, this is starting to look even worse than just not happy, but this is looking really bad. But do we have any good options? So let's consider the other column where we don't enact these regulations and taxes. In this box we have we're happy, we've got a smiley face. We didn't incur the costs and penalties of all these regulations and taxes, global warming didn't occur, we haven't caused any problems, this is happy. Is this the only place on the entire board that we're going to be happy? Well, I'm not sure. Let's look a little closer. So in this one, we did nothing with the regulations. We do have global warming, and we have catastrophes. Economic, political, social, environmental, and health catastrophes. Well, this is terrible. Nobody wants to be there. And so we're told this right here, this box is the reason why we want to be here. We don't want to be here because of the risk of landing in this box. But is any of this even a remote possibility? We know from economics the impact that these taxes and regulation can have on the economy. But what about here? So these catastrophes, economics, in our economy. How is global warming going to cause catastrophes in our economy? Our economy is largely and almost completely man-controlled. We've got problems in our economy now. It's caused by the actions of people. It's not impacted by what happens here. So this, not really something we can talk really strongly about and say it even belongs in this box. Well, but what about political catastrophes? It's really the same thing. It's the actions of people. It's the people we elect to office. If we have a catastrophe in our political systems, it's because of the people we elected, not what's happened to our climate. So again, that really doesn't fit in there either. Social, it's again man. It's our actions, it's our behavior. It's how we behave. It's not in relation to what's going on in the environment. It's how we act and behave with each other. Our environment. Well, that's what we're talking about, so I guess we can keep this one here. Our health and the catastrophes are largely parts of our behavior. The things we choose to do influence our health. Not so much the change in temperature, but our behaviors. Again, doesn't really fit in there. So the catastrophes. We've already talked about the probability that we could have any impact on that is quite low. And then if we have these catastrophes, if we have earthquakes, we know we've had this huge one in Haiti, caused a lot of problems. If we have hurricanes like Katrina and other catastrophes that will happen, and we are here in this column, we have the resources to help ourselves and to help other people who are in need. But if we put ourselves here, how are we going to help? How are we going to help people in Haiti? How are we going to help people in New Orleans? If we've got 25% unemployment from depression, which is what we had during the Great Depression, how are we going to have the resources to help anyone when these catastrophes do occur? Now, isn't it far more likely, because if we look at the history of our Earth, we know that we've had ice ages and that those have ended. And they have ended through global warming. And isn't it likely that those fluctuations in our climate and in our Earth will continue, but that we need to be healthy economically so that we can help ourselves and that we can help our neighbors? A more thorough analysis of this matrix really starts to point out that the only dangerous and reckless place for us to choose is to choose to be in column A, because we don't have the ability to even help ourselves